All right, guys, we're back for the second half of the preseason review for 2023 Supercoach. So, we're getting started with the Swans and Blues game, probably the biggest game of the weekend. Not like players wise, like there's probably more important players, like in terms of quantity, in other places. But I mean, this game had a very fun performance to watch. So we'll start with Sydney. We'll just get it out of the way. Errol Gulden, 188 Supercoach, 45 touches. Where is it? Look at this stat line. 3 goals, 17 contested, 5 tackles. It's pretty good. Yeah, for a guy that's not like insanely tackle dependent, but like this is wowee. You have to like, okay, so I was pretty blatant with how I described this game. Best preseason performance I've ever seen. But this is just one of the best games ever. Like the way he played, he did every single thing. Like, am I going overboard? Yeah, come on, it's a YouTube video. Of course I am. But like, he looked insanely good. There was no Mills. I get it. There was no Mills. He had 45 touches and 188 points. I don't care. Who's in the midfield? I watched a George video last night and he put it very, very correctly, okay? 188 points, 45 touches. I don't care if Chris Judd is in the midfield. I don't care if Prime Gary Ablett is in the midfield. I don't care who is in there. You have to pick this guy. So even if this doesn't work out, right? So 85 average last year with 10% CBAs. That's going up. Like, he will have CBAs this year. He'll push 100 easy, I reckon. You have to pick him. Like, you actually have to. I've wrote here, must pick even if he's a trap. You have to pick him. After that performance, you have to pick him. Yeah, you have to. I guess just move it. Like, I could go on about that for like 10 minutes. That was such a good game to watch from him. I love watching good midfield performances. So, yeah, that was fun to watch. Next one was one that I kind of was looking at in the game and just didn't really impress me too much. Chad Warner. He was a breakout candidate. I still think he is. Yeah, breakout. Like, he's already a 96 average. You know, how much more are you going to break out, right? Like, I don't think anyone's expecting him to challenge Laird or anything like that. But I did expect to see a bit more from him. It was nothing standout and definitely just not worth the risk. 532k, literally 2k more, and just get Tom Green. Yeah, it's a shame. I thought I'd see a bit more from him, just nothing crazy from him. But again, it was one game. And then like Sydney, like everyone's talking about Errol Gulden, but there was just not much. Like, Luke Parker looked alright. Might get forward again. If he does, then yeah, you just add him in as a forward. He's super consistent. Lloyd wasn't that good, so if you were one thinking that this was the Lloyd redemption year, it's not. And then the last one was what's his first name? I don't know what his actual first name is. Lachlan. You can't pick him. He's the dead pick. Super dead. Get him out of your team. He's not playing. He's not playing. He only got on when Laddams had to go get like his nose checked or something like that, or his jaw checked out. He played maybe 10 minutes. That's it. He's not getting game time. He needed to be ruck one for you to even consider picking. And he didn't get it, so don't pick him. Carlton side, Doherty. Doherty we'll talk about first. Yeah, he's right there. So 600k, I think he was the best of the 600k players, or 600k defenders on the weekend. I'd put him rank 1 in terms of those guys at the moment. So probably go Doherty. I don't know, 2 is hard. It's between Dawson and Stewart. I reckon Dawson, Stewart. Then I'm putting Sicily pretty far down. Yeah, Doherty, Dawson, Stewart, Sicily, Gap, Sinclair. Yeah, Sinclair just didn't look good. Like I said previously, a couple of easy mistakes, but just didn't look good. So all we have to go by is 2 games, and only 1 was televised. So, started in defence, moved into the midfield in the second half. I presume it's just because there was no Walsh, no Cripps in. Yeah, I don't think it's much to like write home about the midfield thing. He'll move in there during the season, you know, when Walsh is taking a break or Cripps is on the bench or Cripps is injured or whatever the hell. He'll get some time in the midfield. Nothing crazy. It's not like, oh, I'm picking him because he's going to be a midfielder. You're picking him because he's a very good defender, knows his role brilliantly, gets heaps of the ball. He's very accurate in kicking. Still does, you know, make a couple of attacking kicks, but like he's, you know, very smart player. And I think he's the least risky of the 600k forwards. 600k defenders. I keep saying forwards. Yeah, I think he's the least risky of him because I think he's easy. Like, I think he's D1 with the current role, but I think he could push like 115 again. He has before. But yeah, he's easily like between D1 and D3 pretty easily. Next we got Hewitt, who I just put down because he had a pretty big score. There was no Walsh, there was no Cripps, and he looked as good as last year. He was a 111 average last year. During the games without Walsh, I think Walsh missed the first half of the season. Like he was on a tear, 130, 130, 150. Like, yeah, he was on a tear. Only missed a ton twice. But the injury concerns are there. Like he had the back problem last year, which was kind of like, oh, okay, he's going to miss a week. All right, it's going to be 2 weeks. Oh, it's going to be 3 weeks. And then like he missed a ton of time, like 15 games. That's a ton of time missed. So for that, I just think there's better options. Like Brayshaw, I think is a better option. I think Cripps could be a better option. I don't see him falling off after Brownlow year. I think Steele's a good option. Maybe not better, but just as good. Bont, if you want to go like the next level up. But yeah, I think Hewitt played good, looked good, but you got to remember who was out, and there is an injury risk with him. And then kind of just the rookie pairing. So I think it's easy for me to do it here. So you got Chin Cotter. That's the way they pronounce it on the commentary. I still think it's Sin Cotter because like this, but apparently it's Chin Cotter. Like I don't know where the H is. Yeah, he looked good. Put up a reasonable score. I think it was like 70. It's one of him and what's the other one? Cowan. One of them will play. They even were like talking about it in the broadcast. One of them will play. One of them won't. Just pick the one that plays. It's that simple. Neither of them are on-field options, even though Chincotta kind of scored all right. It put up a 70. I don't think either are on-field options. I think you just let them kind of build up money on the bench and trade him out once they can't get games anymore. There was also Hollins, which I don't even think it's worth talking about. He should play, probably plays most games, but I even wrote it, very unimpressive, and he just gets lost on the field. So there was long... when people were talking about players to watch, I did see Oliver Hollins come up, so I thought, okay, I'll keep an eye out for him. There was long periods of the game I just didn't see him do anything, and I think his score wasn't great either. 59, I guess that's not the worst, but it's nothing to like, you know, really call out that you have to pick him. Next game, so West Coast and Crom. So first off, we'll just talk about Laird. We'll talk Adelaide and we'll talk Laird. So 700k, you get exactly what you pay for. This is like buying a super expensive car. You get exactly what you pay for. 700k, he's the best captain, vice captain option in the entire game. Like, in the entire game, he's the best option. Just because of consistency. I would say this week has put him over Oliver. For a while, I was like, which one's which? Like, which one do you pick and all that? But yeah, I think this weekend has really shown, like, it's Laird, then it's Oliver. Like, the average is the exact same, but like, if you watch the game, you'll see it's Laird, then it's Oliver. You can't go wrong with either one you pick. I just think you should pick Laird. I'd only pick one of these guys, by the way. I don't see value in picking two 700k mids when Laird, as much as I've just hyped him up, he will drop in price. He will. No player stays at 700k the entire season. Even if he tonned every game like he did last year. Computer's running a little bit slow now. I think it's because I've been recording too long. What did he do? He missed it once, didn't he? That's not... So that means last time when I was looking at scores, I was looking at high scores. Whatever. So he only missed it once or twice. Yeah, this guy, you captain him all the time. Like, even if he keeps this up, he's going to drop in price. It's the way the algorithm works. He's 7-11 at max. And then he dropped. See, you have to drop in this game, so he will. So will Oliver. I think you start Laird and then trade in Oliver once he drops. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. Back to defense. So Dawson kept the same role he had last season, which was really good for him. Halfback and then split time with the wing. I think there were stats that came out that said he was better scoring wise on the wing, like he had better points per minute or something like that on the wing, which makes sense, I guess, because you have more attacking play. Yeah, I don't think it matters really. Like, the role is good. He was great in defense, great on the wing, and he's a safe top 6 pick. So, like I said, I think it's Doherty Dawson after this weekend. With Doherty just taking the slight edge, because I just think he's a bit just better in composure type of stuff. Yeah. There's definitely no problem in picking Dawson. I think Dawson is a absolutely fine starting D1 pick. Yeah. So, next is Rob. So Riley O'Brien looked fine. Not the worst ruck option, but I would put him last of these upper echelon ruck picks. So I wrote 550 to 600k, but I wrote that before the Melbourne game had played, so I didn't think Gawn was going to be a pick. So yeah, I'd say he's the lowest. Maybe it's Gawn because of the price. Like, when you take in all aspects of it, probably it's Gawn. But he has a pretty low ceiling. Same with Wits. Like, I'd actually compare him pretty well to Wits. Like, they are kind of the same. For the same price, I picked Darcy. That's how I'd put it. I don't think he's a bad pick. I didn't write him not the worst ruck option, but I would just go Darcy. Don't see a reason not to. Just a couple other players. So Sam Berry, I think I upped him up in one of the videos, so talk about him. Maybe was a little overhyped. Maybe. He's definitely still a breakout candidate. I wrote here just great for fantasy, a little bit too risky for Supercoach. Maybe if you got him in draft, he's great. Fantasy, he's definitely going to be a top whatever player. In fantasy, I think it's a lock. Just Supercoach, not a lock, and a bit too risky to pick at the start of the year. If he pops off, just trade him in. He'll probably be serviceable as an M8, M9 type of player. And then we've got the last one for them is Michelini, who he's just not relevant. Like, good job security, terrible scoring, and he's absolute last choice defender. So you go to defenders, just go to rookies, right? So Jimby is the lock. We'll get onto him in a second. Actually, I just realised I didn't take West Coast notes. I'll just do it on the fly then. Jinby looked incredible. Like, he's definitely my favourite player to watch in the West Coast team. West Coast as a whole looked better. They just don't look great. They look kind of like I think Adelaide was a pretty fitting opponent for him. They looked like Adelaide a couple of years back when they were rebuilding. They just had a young, fun team. I think Eagles need to go for that, like that young, fun team. You're not pushing for a premiership. You're not really even pushing for finals. You're just pushing to build for the future. Yeah, I forgot to take West Coast notes, which is crazy because that's the team I go for, but whatever. So Jinby looked great. There's definitely comparisons to be made with a Laird Oliver style mid, which, you know, maybe that's just me overhyping it, but like, he looked so good. Big body midfielder, took a hit, got right back up, which, man, I popped so hard at that. Like, I was like, yeah, let's go. We finally got a midfielder that isn't like, you know, injury prone as all hell. Other players to talk about. Shuey, don't pick him. Don't pick him. Jaden Hunt really impressed me. I did have kind of high hopes for him coming in. So he was training with the defenders, to my knowledge, in the preseason. And it kind of showed off in the game. He played a bit of everywhere. I don't think I'd pick him, but for 285k, it's pretty hard for that to go wrong. I see him going up to about 400k. Yeah, he was kind of everywhere. And he's really the type of player I wanted them to pick up. Someone who's just explosive out of the back line. Like, the team does have a lot of speed. Now I'm just talking as an Eagles fan, but the team does have a lot of speed in, you know, your Petruccelli and all the young wings and shit we've got. But to have him in the back was, I think, pretty good. A very positive pickup for the team. I heard some negative about Yo, so I'll talk about him for a second. People were like, oh, you know, Yo's a trap now. I wouldn't pick him after this game. I don't know where that's coming from, to be quite honest with you. I saw like people complain about his time on ground. Personally, I'd be more concerned if he had a high time on ground, because that means like he's a very injury prone player at this point of his career. I don't want him playing high minutes in a preseason game. As a fan and as someone picking him, I don't want him playing high minutes. It's the same as like why Ben King didn't play a bunch of minutes for Gold Coast. You go to like all the injury prone guys that are important to teams, and don't get me wrong, Yo is very important to West Coast. You don't want him playing high minutes. Same with Sheed. I think Sheed is a no-go. I did not like his role. He moved up forward, so did Yo, but I think that was just because it was the end of the game. There's no point in taking him off, just move him up forward type of thing. He played about 10 minutes up forward, nothing to really write home about. Sheed's a no-go. I think Yo is a super duper easy lock. I think he's great. Maybe it's West Coast bias, say what you will. 50% ownership, damn near. Easy, very, very easy pick. Sheed, like I said, is a no-go. I think he's actually going to lose his spot in the midfield. They had Jinby kind of rotating into the midfield, and with how good he looked, Adam Simpson will get fired round 4 if he doesn't play him in the midfield. If Adam Simpson dares not to pick Jinby, I will fly to Perth myself and deal with it. Like, yeah, Sheed kind of just not impressive. Tim Kelly needs to get out of Western Australia. Just go anywhere else. Tim Kelly will not have a job once his contract expires. He won't have a job. It doesn't matter his age or whatever. Like, I know he's kind of like getting up there now. He could be, you know, prime of his life. He's not getting a job anywhere. He sucks. He's terrible. Maybe one of the worst signings I've ever seen in sport. Actually, no, I've seen Westbrook signing twice, so that takes the cake. But yeah, maybe one of the, I'd say the worst of the AFL I've seen in a long time. Anyone else to write home about? Chesser didn't stand out or anything, but he'll keep his spot, I'd imagine. I don't see a reason for him not to. I think he's playing out of role as well. I think he should be more of an inside mid other than a wing. Just wait and see on him. Pick him. He'll probably play around one. Again, if Adam Simpson does not pick these young guys, I want him out. We are not a finals team. We are a rebuilding team. Please rebuild. Like, okay, I'm gonna rant now. I bet just shut up. Next team, GWS. We've got a lot of notes for this one. So, it's a whole page of notes for just GWS. Tom Green, we'll start with. Pick him. This is the easiest breakout candidate. Looked fantastic. Looked great last week as well. He had 50 touches against the B side. There was no Kelly, no Canelio or anything like that. So everyone's like, oh, he's actually not that good. There was no one playing and he was playing against the B side. This week, what did he have? 34 touches? 36 touches? Where is it? 34 touches. Okay. I'll take 34 from a player that's a breakout player. Like, I'll take it. You can stay on your, Tom Mitchell. I don't know why people are still picking Tom Mitchell, to be honest with you. But, you can stay on that, and I'll take Tom Green, who's going to push, high average. He's not probably going to push top mids. Like I said here, he's probably not going to push top mids, but he was at almost all CBAs, high disposal count with all mids in. Cogs was in. Cogs went down in the second quarter, but played most of the game. Kelly was in the whole game. There is no excuses for this. I think it's just an easy pick. LDU dropped off, so I wouldn't pick him. Tom Mitchell, no way. I don't want any part of that. Next we got Josh Kelly. So this is probably the biggest trap player of all time. Everyone gets fooled into picking Tom Kelly. Josh Kelly. I'll just read the notes I've got. Best he's looked in a long time. Like, he looked fit. He looked hungry for the ball. Inside mid is by far his best role. Good coaching, understands that he's a good player, play him all the time. Could push top mid status. Maybe that's pushing it a fair bit, but I think he could. I think he could push like a McRae, Bont, Mills style player, 115, 118 style. If you like risks, this is definitely the guy. I think in draft, this is the guy to pick. Because draft is like not as serious, let's be honest. Unless you're in like a money league or something and it's big money. I think Kelly is just a very, very good player to pick right now. What's his start to the season? I don't think I've seen GWS's first three. Adelaide, very easy for him. He's put up 150 against them before. West Coast is just, a saloon for high scores. And then Carlton, who kind of give up high scores because they don't have a defensive midfield. I like Kelly as a pick. I just don't know if I'm going to start him. Probably not, though. I like Bont and stuff better. I'll just pay up for them. Next, we've got Canelio, who I'm really looking at as a forward. I don't see any reason at all to pick him in a midfield. If you're picking him as a forward. Injury in the second, came back on after halftime. It was just a knee knock. What did they say it was? It came out this morning what it was. I think it was just a cramp in the knee or something like that. Nothing serious. Definitely plays round one. He's still getting all the mid time. There's not going to be any change to his schedule, anything like that. Very good option in the forward line. Currently, I have it as him versus Rosie for like this kind of F2, F3 type of spot. I think Rosie has the edge at the moment, but that could just be because of recency bias, seeing him on the weekend. Cogs could definitely push ahead. because Cox has had good seasons in the past. Yeah, I don't know. It's between them two. Definitely not bad if you wanted to start him though. I could see the argument for him. Got Whitfield, who put up a reasonable score. Where was it? Whitfield, 86, pretty good score. Preseason, and again, this is one of like the all-time trap players. So I just wrote great pick and draft, avoiding classic for the moment. Again, because he's a trap player. Like this is the kind of guy that in preseason will play around the midfield, and then season starts and he's a half forward. Avoid him in classic, but round 6 he could get mid defense DPP. It's possible. I did see him playing a fair bit of defense. Kind of looked like he's back to his proper role now. If that happens, then he's kind of a more lucrative pick. But until then, I'd avoid. I don't see a reason to do it. For what's his price? His price isn't low. Yeah, almost 473, almost 500. No way. It's not worth it. Not worth the possibility of it just not working. And then last, we kind of got like a breakout player for them. Is Finn Callahan. So he was probably the one I was most impressed with that wasn't a rookie. Yeah, most impressive player under 300k for me. Over 300k, like not going up to 600k or anything, but like over 300 probably be Tanner Bruin. But yeah, under it, I'd say it's Finn Callahan. So looks to me, watching the game, he looked like a lot younger version of Josh Kelly. So Josh Kelly used to play outside and play on the wing and stuff like that. Largely because GWS had the worst coaches in AFL history. But yeah, so he kind of looks like that. Like he'd start on the wing, push up to stoppage. How many touches did he end up with? It was over 20, I want to say. Yeah, 22 touches. You take that. On the wing, good scoring. He had 2 goals. One of them on the broadcast, they were really hyping it up because it was a very good IQ play, like football IQ. It was a stoppage, and instead of just like running to the ball, he kind of stepped out a bit, trusting his team to get him the ball. That was very high IQ play, and that's kind of what you want to see from these kind of breakout type of guys. So for that reason, I think he's a very good pick. 244 is high, but to make 150, he only has to average like 71. So I like the pick. I don't see a reason against the pick other than can't afford it. Yeah. If you can't afford it, you haven't got the money for it. You can't make it, Next we've got the Sun side of the game. So first we'll just talk about Wits because it's pretty quick and easy. Looked good, safe pick, probably the safest in terms of like being a good average that you can put up. But lowest ceiling of these high ruckmen. I don't know. Could have looked slightly better, I guess. Maybe getting around the ground a bit more. Considering like it was Bruce. Bruce is not like a good ruckman by any means. Yeah, I don't know. Could have looked a bit better. I still think he looked very good. If you've got him in, there's no reason to trade him out or anything like that. I think you've kind of got your team set if you got him in. Another kind of breakout player was Sam Flanders. So he put up a pretty good score, found heaps of the ball without Tukin, but Tug I don't think actually impacts his score. I think it only makes his scoring slightly better, slightly more consistent. Probably drops his touches and ups his scoring. Because he had no CBAs. He was kind of like a forward that pushed down the field to the stoppage, and then just worked his way back up. Interesting player, not my type though. That's exactly what I wrote. Is interesting player to watch, just not my type to pick. Again, I think the forward line, you've kind of got enough of these diamond and rough type of guys. You got Zeeble, who I brought up before, Tanner Bruin, Gulden, who's 100k more. I don't know if I'd call him diamond and rough or anything, but I think Flanders is kind of odd one out. I like the other ones a bit more. And then Constable is a pretty quick one. Easy pick to make. 123k player, playing halfback. Could field him as D6 round 1. Yeah, until they kind of get their guys back and see where you go from there. But yeah, role looked great. Didn't see him on screen too much. I don't know if it was just like he plays his role so good you don't see him too often. There are a couple of guys like that, like Dawson's kind of like that. Doherty to a lesser extent, kind of because he's just more popular. But yeah, I didn't see too much of him, but he soared pretty well. Very well for his price, and I think he's a pretty easy starting pick. And then, this is probably just me because I like the player. Matt Rowell was playing, looked fit, looked good, looked energetic, but there was no Tuka, so nothing to really talk about with him. Second last game of the day. My throat feels like I've done 9 games worth of talking. Alright, so dogs first. Liberatore looked very good, probably the second, third best performance of the weekend. Best mid on for the dogs by far. Like Bont also put up a pretty good score. I'll just bring up the scores. He had a 150. Bont had a 145. Like that's still a good score, but I think Libba did look head and shoulders better. He looked like the best player on the field. Could make the argument for starting him over McRae. For the price difference, I think you could. How much is he going to push his scoring up though? Could he hit 115? That's an extra 10 points. No Dunkley in, opens up CBAs. I think he could. I think that's a pretty fine bet to make, honestly, if you want to go him over McRae. And it's like, say you're going for another dogs mid. It's probably the highest I'd put him up though. Like, yeah, I'd take him over Petrarca. I'd take him over Merritt as a starting pick. Brayshaw, I'm not too sure. Maybe I'd put him in the upper caliber. I'd take him over Hewitt, take him over Parrish, take him over Steele. Like, not always, but over the last weekend, I'd say I'd take him over Steele. I'd take his potential over Josh Kelly. Wines, Boak, yeah. So, yeah, Libba looked good. 2%. Not terrible. Next, we'll just go on to Bont. Very easy, just a safe pick. If he gets forward status, you're looking at like an F1 here. So he should get it as well. And judging off this game, I think he's kind of in the play for a Brownlow year. So I think he's a good pick. 27% ownership as well. You don't want to get caught behind that. I have before, and it's tough to make up rank afterwards. Especially on someone who can put up huge games. Like Bont is a 200 style player, so don't want to get stuck behind that. Next is McRae. He's still a super consistent player. He gets the touches, he gets the CBAs. I was kind of impressed with how Dunkley leaving, Lockie Hunter leaving, a couple of extra guys leaving. It really just made the CBAs just open for everyone. Everyone could kind of get their shine in there. Libba did, Bont did, McRae did. Were there any other mids that kind of had standout score? I guess Bailey Smith. Bailey Smith kind of did move up forward a little bit, but he's still got his mid time in. Treloar kind of just plays everywhere now. Where does it say he played? There's midfield, but I kind of saw him everywhere around the field. There's kind of just time to go around for everyone, so it's not like you can't pick him because you don't think, oh, there's too many mids to feed. Nah, it's fine. I would say the problem with him though is the coach. So I just wrote Bevo as a flog, which he is. He's a flog in every sense of the word, to media, to people. Just he's not a nice guy. He'll probably make a move. I saw in the preseason, like in the training and stuff like that. McRae was playing half forward, and if he does that, it's not a dead pick, but it's a deader pick. Next we've got Liam Baker. So this is another one. I think it's just an easy pick. Liam Baker. Liam Jones. Too many Liams. Liam Jones, 228k. Should actually push for a top interceptor role this year. Yeah, don't see a reason not to pick him. He's going to have a spike game somewhere. I'm just reading what I wrote. He's going to have a spike game at some point, especially because he's an intercept defender. Once he has one of those, his cash gen, he gets going. He puts up, easy 200k to his price, pretty easily. Next, we've got Oscar Baker. What is it? So, how's he spell it? OSK? Yeah, it is. So he was playing wing, looked really good. I wrote commanded a spot in round 1, which he did. He's definitely put his name on the wing. Don't expect a 111 every game. He's a wing. He's going to put up a couple of stinkers, but leave him on the bench. And against some opponents, you could field him, but more times than not, you just want to leave him on the bench. He'll make some coin. I feel like Dogs wings over the last couple of years, we've picked them and they've been right. Like Anthony Scott, I remember picking him. He was all right. And there was another one. Just can't think of who it was. I'm thinking... was it Arthur Jones? I don't know. Can't remember. There was another one though. Just can't think of it at the moment. Crozier was another player I looked at. He looked good. But his injury history is pretty bad. He did cop a injury in this game. It just says hand injury. I wasn't watching at the end of the game, so I don't know what it was exactly. Some hoon driving behind me. Hope he hits a tree. Just give me a second. Made me shut the window, loser. So what was that? Crozier looked good. Injury history, had an injury in this game, so maybe that will take you off the pick. I don't know how serious it was, and I haven't really read into it. But another thing to note was his scoring really picked up once Ed Richards left. What was Ed's injury? Just a corky. I would probably not pick Crozier right now. Could come good though. I don't think it's too bad of a pick. Next, last Dogs player is Tim English, which we had to get to sooner or later. So to my knowledge, he's had 2 injuries in the preseason. That's a red X for me, to be honest. Injuries in the preseason, especially to someone who had injuries all of last year. There's just safer options. So like Witts doesn't get hurt as much. Darcy is the king of injuries. I'm not even going to bother lying like that and saying he doesn't get injured. Then there's like O'Brien, I guess, but he's, like I said, English has got a high ceiling, but it's a high risk as well. I think his percentage has dropped in the time of me filming this. I think it dropped from 20% to 19%. But yeah, English is fine to pick. You have to know the risk going into it. Onto North. Okay, so North, we've got Zeeble. I might have overreacted a little bit to Jack Zeeble. 86 is still not bad, and I still think he's a guy that could push for a top forward role in defense. I think he could push a 95. Like, in defense, come on, I think he could push a 95. Yeah, I don't know. It's up to you really to pick. I did say he was like a must pick and stuff like that. I think I went a little bit overboard on that. So he played defense. His score was lower and I was looking into why his score was so low, especially because he was playing defense and he had touches and stuff. What do you have? 15 touches, not amazing, but yeah, it's something. He didn't have the marks he usually has. In his big year, he was like a big mark taker. He was kind of going like 5+ a game. He only had 2. I think, you give those to him, he puts up 95, and that's probably what he's going to average. And the other thing was he was sharing kick-ins. He was sharing them with Luke McDonald. Next, we got Harry Sheezel. So I think this is another rookie. There's no reason not to pick him. Job security is the best of any forward rookie, any forward pick you could probably make. I just wrote here best forward rookie by a mile, which he is. He just is. Best job security. He was playing good as a forward, and then he got moved to half back. I'm not too sure why. I wasn't watching. Like I said, this game was such a blowout, it was boring. I watched the first little bit and then just went to go watch a movie instead. I think moving him to halfback was just a bit of Clarko messing around with things. He obviously hasn't seen the team in simulation that much. I still think this is an easy pick. Probably fieldable, probably not. I don't know. Luke McDonald, definitely too risky of a player. He put up a good score, but definitely not a player to pick. He did take kick-ins though. Played kind of that halfback seagull type of role, but yeah, like I said, don't pick him. Maybe in draft though. Maybe he's fine in draft. Goda, not a pick. So you have to remove him from your sides, which is a bit annoying because he looked all right. He's just not a pick. So currently he's playing a wing. He should be a halfback. He should be. But he's playing a wing and he can't score from a wing role, so you can't pick him. And then finally it was Cunnington, who is not my type of player. I think for cheaper, you can get better options. He looked solid, but like I said, for cheaper, you can get better options. Final game. Wow, there was actually more than I thought there was. Okay. So we'll start with Gawn. He looked stupid good. It was probably the most high energy player on the ground. They were even bringing it up in the broadcast, all right, this is how your captain plays. He's putting in, this is a finals game in preseason. That's going too far, but he was playing high intensity throughout the game. There is potential that he gets ruck forward, and if he does, then you instantly bring him in. You kind of move heaven and earth to bring him in. I wouldn't start him though, but yeah, like I said, if he gets forward, then it's an easy trade in. But maybe you pick O'Brien and you're not happy with him, then you've swapped to Gawn. I don't know. I don't know if you really want to use trades in the ruck line, but yeah, I wouldn't start him though. Not a fan of the split ruck thing. Another one I added just because he had a big score was Bowie. He's a draft league god, but no, there's zero reason to pick him in Classic. Just don't do it. Petrarca, he had a radio interview during the week. I should have brought up the quote. He did an interview and he was talking about how he's going to get used a bit more as a forward this year. Talking about how he used to be a forward and how the team benefits from him going up forward. He was also talking a bit about Oliver moving his role a bit, which not great. So there are kind of alarm bells ringing there. But if he gets mid forward, I think he's a good pick. I don't see him dropping under 100 average, especially as a mid forward type of player. But there's zero reason to start this guy in your team. 8% ownership is way too high. If you're picking him as oh yeah, I'll just keep him as a forward later in the year. There's just no reason to start him. Oliver looked good. He still looked a top mid. His scoring wasn't incredible. I think he's still tunned. Did he? Oliver. 95, basically. Ton. But he looked injured late. Maybe it was just... I think it was just cramping. Because I think they were saying it was a bit muggy and stuff where they were a bit humid. Could see him just cramping up a little bit. Because there was one spot that sticks out. The ball was kind of coming to him, but it was on the ground, and he didn't bend down. Like he just said, all right, someone else get it because I'm not bending down for it. But he still got heaps of the ball during the fourth quarter. I think he had 10 touches in the fourth, but all of them were like people passing to his chest instead of below his knees. Like I said, I think Laird has just pushed in front a little bit in terms of the top mid, but Oliver is still fine. You can definitely still pick him. Next I've got Judd McVie, dead pick. He's not going to play round one. This didn't look good enough. Looked lost on the field, inexperienced. Shouldn't play round one. Just not a pick. And then finally for Melbourne is Grundy. Just not worth the risk. So he's playing split ruck, which already is a no-go. And then his 512k, you kind of need to average a pretty high number for him to pick him at that price. Just not worth it. Could be a solid player. Just I don't think he's worth it. And the final 3 players, but it's 2 players. From Richmond is Taranto. Taranto looked good. It didn't I think he looked better last week, but a lot of touches, kicked a goal, had his mid-time. Prestia did get hurt, so I haven't looked into it too much, but Prestia's always injured, so it wasn't super surprising. If Presti's out, then Taranto is just like the god of that midfield. Like he's just going to be at every centre bounce. Same with the next one is Hopper. Hopper looked good as well. Roll security is there. Score ceiling is like, it's not incredible. He's not going to put up like a 130 or anything like that, but I think he'll bounce around the 100 mark. And his ownership is so high, I don't see why you wouldn't pick him. So he's currently rocking a 46% ownership. I think you have to pick him. If like his ownership wasn't so high, I'd say there's a bit of discussion on like Hopper, Setterfield, Warple. Who else is there? Like 300k mark. Vaughan Francis isn't really in discussion. Let's be honest, he's just not that good. Finn Callahan looked good to me. Bruin looked good. Sheed, I think, is out, but some people might still think he's in. But yeah, I don't mind Hopper too much. And then lastly, because he's a rookie and he's a forward, and there's not too many forward rookies, Samson Ryan, I don't think he's a pick. Maybe he gets up for round 1, but yeah, I don't think he's a pick. I think he's going to stick in the VFL team. So that wraps up the preseason kind of videos. There'll be one more, which is just kind of my team, but it won't be part of this. It's kind of just reviewing games. But yeah, let me know how you guys went with the preseason. How good is it to have footy back? And who you guys have kind of added to your team after seeing the performance. Until then, I'll see you all next time. Tasty out.